Yo, 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 what's good? What's good? It's your man AC Star. I want to welcome to the AC Star Morning Show. Yo, what's good? What's Sorry about that little feedback. My bad. Hope everybody having a good day. It's January 5th, 2021. It's 12:20. It's your man AC Star, and I'm on here today, yo. I want to talk about this Donald Trump, man. This dude is different, man. Like, this dude is really different. Here he is. It's January 5th. The election was a few days ago. The election was November 3rd, 2020. We're now January 5th, 2021. And this guy has conceded. He's built up this clown car of lawyers and politicians and so-called attorneys who've pretty much made a mockery of themselves, right? By going through this thing where they think that they somehow will help Donald Trump overturn the election, which will never happen. I mean, think about this. He's been duly elected. All 50 states have certified their electoral college votes. Now all we have is the formalities of tomorrow, which is January 6th. Just a formality. It's not really something that they can change. It's not a legislative day on the docket. None of that. It's just a formality to say that we acknowledge that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been elected the president and the vice president of the United States of America, right? And instead of we having the normal procedures or the normal traditions that we have in this nation, we're now faced with this guy saying, "Well, you know what? We're not gonna have this is a mockery. The election has been stolen from me. I won bigly," and he lost by 8 million votes. And then you have all these supposedly smart people and all these educated people and all these black conservatives and Trump supporters and MAGA hat wearers running around really thinking that lying about there being widespread voter fraud and things of that nature would really make a difference, would really change the outcome of the election. And it won't. We have to stop allowing for voices like this to be heard and to mess up our body politic or just to create such havoc in our nation to the point where we're so divided as a people that you hear the word civil war in 2020 in the United States of America. The idea that we're actually talking about civil war in 2020. And all because we have American citizens who think it's okay to talk about bloodless coups and think it's okay to lie about duly elected officials being duly elected. Think about that. Where all the 50 states have been certified, where all the state legislations have said we acknowledge that Joe Biden either won or lost our state based on what the Electoral College vote has said. So now we're faced with this idea that it's okay. Oh man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. We got to do better, yo. We got to do better as a country. We can no longer be looking at this as it's okay to do what we doing, and it's not. It's not okay to do what we doing. It's not. Hold on 1 second, people. My bad. I'm sorry. Little man wanted some lunch. My bad. But anyway, like I was saying, folks, we got to we got to have more conversations about what civics is and understanding the process. So when we get into the weeds with things like this and it comes to January 6th, a lot of people may know some of the basic ideas of it, but they don't know really what's going on and really what's taking place. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have that situation. It's like we're dealing with people who think they know what's going on, but they really don't know what's going on. They don't have no idea how this thing works. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just a thing of how do we begin to have a conversation, or how do we begin to flush out the true details, or how do we begin to take our nation back and not allow people to just mess it up with their nonsense and thinking that everything is cool. Like it's not cool. It's not cool to lie and say that a man won an election that he lost by 8 million votes. It's not cool to say that there's widespread voter fraud when there's not. When you went to 50 different courtrooms, 50 different jurisdictions, whether it's state, municipality, or municipal or federal, and you lost every time. There was not one time where, maybe one or two times, where the court thought to hold it over for another day just to review the evidence. Most courts just summarily dismissed it and said this evidence is weak, if there's any at all. And for people to ignore that, they have no legal, no legislative, they have no way forward. We have a thing called transition that's been taking place for a couple weeks now. Now, it wasn't necessarily what they wanted to do initially. It's not what, was on the mind of a lot of people. But for the most part, it took place. The transition took place, and it's taking place. Biden has added members to his cabinet. He's named people to his cabinet, and only it's like 3 or 4 slots he has left. Attorney General, Secretary of State, right? But the transition has taken place. It has begun. And for us to continuously be bombarded with these lies from the right-wing part of our political apparatus is just becoming overwhelming at this point. You have a nation that's considered the most powerful nation in the world, where you have the predecessor, the previous administration, trying to have a bloodless coup and overturn 80 million people's vote because their man lost. Let's make that make sense in 2020. Well, what the hell can you make sense in 2020? But now we're in 2021. So let's make that make sense in 2021. It won't make sense, because what they're doing is a travesty. You're hearing words like sedition. You're hearing words like treason. And the crazy part about this is that the only votes that they want to deny, and the only votes that they want to throw out, are the votes of African American and minority people in 4 particular locations: Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Detroit, Michigan, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Atlanta, Georgia, which we all know demographically are majority black cities. And these majority black cities were very influential in Donald Trump losing the 2020 presidential election. So now, since we live in such a racist nation that never really respected or cared about what black people thought, why not take their vote? Why not say that their vote don't matter? Why not say that their vote doesn't count? Why? Because they don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care what we do. They don't care about any of that. Only thing they care about is that their man, Donald Trump, lost, and they think that he should have won the election. And in doing so, now they want to take the election away from people who voted for the winning candidate. This process has been going on for 200 and something years, since 1776. It's now 2020. We've had some contested elections. We've had some trying elections, but we've never had where the standing president has decided that he will not leave office willingly. He's decided that he's going to arbitrarily lie and say, I was cheated. I was cheated. Remember that scene in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy? And at the end, when him and Dan Aykroyd, they got the brothers, right? And the brother was like, turn the machines back on. Turn the machines back on. And guess what? They couldn't turn the machines back on. He lost the bet. He lost his shirt. They lost everything. Guess what, Trump supporters? Guess what, black conservatives? You can't turn the machine back on. Trump has lost. It's over. It's over. You will not get a do-over. You will not get a revote. None of that nonsense that you heard. Oh, let's have a revote. Yeah. Let's get 160 million people to do it all over again at the snap of a finger. Because our man lost. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. But the problem is, people, what are the next 11 days going to be like? Or the next 15 days going to be like before we have what we know as the inauguration? What is also known as the peaceful transfer of power. That this sometimes great nation, depending on who you talk to, usually go through without a hitch. But what will it be in 2021? What will we get? Will we get violence in the street? Will we get a temper tantrum from our present president? Or will we get a whimper and he just leaves and we have a new administration installed? What will we get, folks? What will it be? I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would put my money on that. It's going to be some fuck shit. It's going to be some fuck shit because it's already some fuck shit. And it's been fuck shit since November 3rd. How does an empire of our status get to the point where we're now the laughing stock of the world, where the world sees us as a joke and sees that we're led by racist people who allow for the most racist and the most devastating and detrimental actions to take place within our borders because they have some racial animus towards their black fellow Americans or towards their Latino fellow Americans or Asian fellow Americans or Muslim fellow Americans or Jewish fellow Americans. The original sin of slavery. My man Psychopatheus, peace, Psycho, peace, bro. Glad you joined me. I'm just sitting here talking about Trump and his bloodless coup, Psycho. You know, you're a history buff, so you know what it is. You know how history has played itself out, and you know, me and you go back and forth about this, and you kind of don't think it's as detrimental as it seems, and you don't think it's as important as it seems. But me personally, I think that it's a little more detrimental than we laid it on to believe. I don't remember the nation being in such a quagmire on how the peaceful transition of power will be partaken. So for me, it's just I just want to try to put this in historical analysis or historical context to understand that we've had trials and tribulations. We've had the 1876 election. We've had the 1960 election. We've had the 2000 election with the Florida recall and the Chads and the hangy Chads and the impregnated Chads, and you know, but that resolved itself in the courts, right? And then Al Gore just said, you know what? For the greater good of the nation, all right, I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna let this fight go. I don't think he would have made a good president anyway, so I'm glad he kind of quit and gave up. If you notice afterwards, he was a sucker. He turned on Clinton. His wife left him, so he wasn't really about that business anyway. So we move forward with George Bush, right? We move forward. There was no war in the street. There was no true violence. There was nothing. So now we're in a situation where tomorrow our capital, our nation's capital, will be under this microscope, right? This global microscope where the world will be watching to say, what will America do? What will Donald Trump's minions do? What will all these people do on January 6, 2021, when it's time for the formal idea of the Biden administration being acknowledged? The Electoral College being acknowledged in all 50 states and all 50 bodies of legislation in all these states. So what will tomorrow bring for America? Will democracy of the republic be challenged? Will it be pushed further than it's been pushed in recent decades, in recent modern times? Or will it hold? What will happen? What will be our destiny? What will be our fate after tomorrow? Because some will have you to believe that tomorrow can be something changing, that Mike Pence and those congressmen and those senators, that they can change the election tomorrow. Well, truth be told, people, the only thing they can do is bitch and whine like they've been doing. That's all they can do. This is a formality. This is basically each state acknowledging and their representation being there to acknowledge that the Electoral College said this and that when it came to who won their particular state. This is not a legislative session where people or legislative bills will be on the docket. It's none of that. It's simply saying that all 50 states acknowledge this person won their state, and Vice President Mike Pence will acknowledge in front of the Senate, in front of the Congress, that Joe Biden was duly elected the 46th president of the United States of America. That's it. They can't call anyone to order. They can't object. They can't abstain. They can't do any of those things. Only thing they can do is get up there and whine and continue their lies about this was done and we found ballots underneath the table and we found this over here, we found that over there. Well, all these things have been proven untrue. Untrue. But we still have clown cars everywhere. Well, you know, I'm with you on that, Psycho. But this is what I want to kind of. And Psycho, man, I want you to be a guest on the show, man. When I get this thing popping, man, I definitely want you to be one of the guests on the show. I'm not gonna really have too many panels because we both know how that go. But you know, just to have a more knowledgeable brother and a more insightful brother. But this is my thing, Psycho, and I want you to pay attention to some of the military thing. Just as a veteran, I want you to pay attention to some of the actions you see from former military and former defense secretaries and secretaries of defense. When you see them writing letters and things of that nature, they're doing that because they hear chatter, right? They hear that there's a chance that there's some people in the military that might follow some of these terrible orders and unlawful orders that Donald Trump is willing to put forth to change what he thinks was him being wronged in this election. And the reason why they did that, Psycho, is because they know there's a chance that some people will follow him. Now, when I say bloodless coup, I mean that in the sense that no bullets will be fired, no violence will be enacted by the military, right? There may be some violence by what we would call militias or what we would call proxy groups. Because at this point right now, Trump is just dealing with a bunch of proxy groups, you know what I mean? Bunch of traitors. That's what his coalition is. His coalition is just a bunch of racists, veterans, racist police officers, racist politicians, racist citizens. And there's a lot of racist people in the military. You got to remember, like, the Coast Guard doesn't have any black people, basically. The Marines has a lot of brothers, but as you can tell, some of them are others, right? So I say that to say this. There is some chatter in the back that there will be some traitor, or however you would say it, traitorous behavior going on in the ranks, whether it's non-commissioned officers or commissioned officers. And the non-commissioned officers is your rank and file sergeants, corporals, sergeant major, sergeant first classes, and your commissioned officers are your captains, lieutenants, colonels, generals, so forth and so on. So I say that because there's a lot of people in the military that's upset that he lost. There's a lot of people in the military that belong to white racist gangs and understand that they want to keep this empire in the hands of white citizenry and Western civilization and those who believe in Western civilization ideology. So I don't know, bro. I hear you, but he's gone this far. He's gone this far. And I don't see him. I don't see his breaking point. I don't see where he's going to control himself and try to pull back and act like, you know, this is less than what it really is. But yo, hit the like button, hit the share button, tell a friend to tell a friend. The AC Star Morning Show. This is just a little impromptu live that I wanted to do because I really wanted to talk about Trump and his coup attempt and how people feel about this. You know, how people feel about him doing this. Well, he needs some high-ranking officers, but if you paid attention, maybe a couple of weeks ago, he had kind of interchanged some of the civilian leadership at the Pentagon, right? Because a lot of people misunderstand the civilians is the one who kind of makes the call on where we go, and then they just kind of pass it down to the generals, and then the general makes the military calls. But we have a civilian command structure that kind of gets their call from the Armed Service Committee, right? And then they sit down with the chiefs of staffs, or and the department heads and the different chiefs of and the different leaders of different branches of service, and then they kind of foment a battle plan, right? So if General Michael Flynn is a high-ranking general who Obama got rid of because Obama knew that he was bad business. There's a lot of Michael Flynn still in the military. There's a lot of generals who retired or otherwise who are on their way out the door who align themselves with Donald Trump. I don't know what their commands are, or whether they're commanding armies, or whether they're commanding divisions, things of that nature, because as you go up, your commands are different. So a brigadier general may have a post, or a lieutenant general may have a command, right? Or have a larger post, a command base, which is probably like an Air Force, Army, Marine base, kind of joint base kind of together. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I think we underestimate racism and the vitriol that a lot of white people have towards black people. As a veteran in war, it's like, we had a lot of racial incidents, man, and it blew my mind because I always say, coming from the East Coast, we don't really rock with a lot of racism like that. Like, our racism is territorial. If you go into a suburban town that's adjacent to a black town, you're gonna face a lot of racism. But if you stay within the sectors of where you live at, you don't really have a lot of face-to-face racism. And when I was in the Gulf War in Bosnia, man, we went through a lot of racial shit, and it blew my mind because I'm like, yo, the one time we need to come together, we separated like a motherfucker. So I understand what you're saying, and I definitely try to take in consideration what you're saying, but I'm just taking it as a overall military view. There's a lot of snakes in the grass when it comes to the Army and it comes to the armed forces. As you see, most of these senators and Republicans that you see, that's congressmen of today's ilk, a lot of them are former veterans, whether they're female or male. You'll see a lot of former veterans running for office. A lot of them. So I understand what you're saying. But as I was saying before, I just really want to know what tomorrow is going to be like. What will January 6th bring for our nation? Will it bring mayhem? Will it bring the stretching of our democracy? Or will it just go out with a whimper? I don't know. But my take on it is, I feel that the nation is at a crossroad, and I don't know if we have the leaders or the institutional or constitutional structures that will head off where we're headed. 75 million people are upset that their man lost. And I'm going to say 80% of them are looking for some kind of vindication or looking for some kind of get back. All of them not going to march in the street. All of them are not going to grab their guns. But there's a substantial amount of them that will do so. Now, where will that go as a nation? How will that play itself out? If we look at history as a prologue, we'll see that our nation will be in bad shape. Will it recover? Will it be 50 states, 30 states, 20 states, the original 13? What will it look like on the other side of this dynamic that we're in? I'm not sure. But I'll be paying attention. And I'll be speaking a lot more on these topics, and I'll be bringing you news, and I'll be bringing you content that's about black love and things of that nature. It'll be part of the course outside of some pissed off maggots. I mean, what you mean by that, Psycho? What you mean when you say it'll be part of the course of some of those pissed off maggots? What do you mean by that? Yo, hit the link, Psycho, if you want. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and end this live. It was just a little quick, little something I wanted to say. Matter of fact, I'm gonna probably try to start off this week with the AC Star Morning Show, 8 to 10. Um, and I'm gonna just try to do this thing, man. I'm gonna try to come from my position. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to come from my position. Yo, and I'd like to thank everybody for showing up, especially my man Psycho for coming through, hollering at your boy. Don't forget, man, to tell a friend, man. The AC Star Morning Show is coming real soon. I think we'll launch probably next Monday. I'll probably do a couple beta test runs like I'm doing now this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Play a little music, chop it up with y'all, invite some more people. So, yo, man, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. The AC Star Morning Show is coming real soon to these YouTube streets. I'm gonna definitely have some wonderful guests on there and be chopping it up. And I ain't no pill, I ain't blue pill, red pill, none of that. I'm a dolo dude. I roll dolo from state to state. I'm kind of an independent thinker. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm a moderate Democrat. I believe in moderate Democrat policies. I believe in being an independent entrepreneur. I believe in business. I believe in educating our masses to technology, evolutionary principles, evolutionary ideas. I'm not a religious fanatic by any means. So you'll see I'm just a regular dude from the streets of Trenton, New Jersey, who just trying to, have some wonderful conversations and continue to grow the black community in ways that we normally don't talk about. I don't want to get tied into gender wars and conspiracy things, but I'm willing to talk about them. I'm willing to have a conversation, but please know those places are not where I stand. I'll meet you in the middle, and we can see where we go. So that's gonna be my motto. I'll meet you in the middle, and then we go from there. So yo, until the next time, this your man AC Star. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who showed up, my man Psycho. And please watch out for my show, the AC Star Morning Show, coming real soon. Peace.